Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video, and this is a paid request from Mark. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, movie reviews, re-reviews, random thought streams, commentaries, video game playthrough for an hour, full playthrough, tier list ranking, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. I do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box, and I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And Mark has sent in a paid request for me to watch and review Minutes to Midnight, which is a film that honestly I'd never heard of. I guess you would call it a slasher film. Now, when I looked at the cover and I looked at kind of the peripheral, what I mean by that is the killers, the outfits don't seem too bad for a direct-to-video film. There's multiple killers. One of them is Bill Moseley, of course, who was in House of a Thousand Corpses, The Devil's Rejects, Chop Top, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Hard to go wrong with Bill Moseley. Granted, he has been in some bad films, but he's a good actor. And then William Baldwin, he was in Backdraft. You have Richard Grieco, which I liked If Looks Could Kill. I think that's a fun movie. John Hennigan, aka John Morrison. Yes, the wrestler, John Morrison. Which for a second I'm like, is that AJ Styles? But no, it's John Moore. I know his name is John Hennigan, but I will call him John Morrison because that's how I recognize him as the wrestler. And he's one of the main stars of the film. I'm like, okay, and it's a slasher film. Maybe it could be not great, but a decent time waster, bit of fun. Then I saw who was directing it. Fred Olen Ray's son. Now, Fred Olen Ray himself, he's a horrible director. He mostly has made absolute dogshit movies. His son isn't any better. His son has made films like Almighty Thor, which also I think had Richard Grieco in it, but not as the star. Of course, that was a rip-off of Thor when it came out in 2011. Two-Headed Shark Attack, and a few of those like Meth Gator, like those type of movies. So following in his dad's footsteps and making shit. So when I saw that, I'm like, Fred Olen Ray's son is doing this? Oh, God. And yeah, yep, it was shit. So before I get into it, the setup of the film. Film came out in 2018, by the way. You have this couple, they're out in the woods, and of course, as you pretty much know, they're going to be the victims of something afoot. What's funny is that the woman goes, wait a minute, isn't this where, people were murdered? And the guy she's with, first he goes, that is true. Then she continues, and then he goes, oh, those are just stories. So right off the bat, I'm sitting there going, so dude, which is it? First you say that is true, then you say, oh, those are just stories. So is it true, or is it just stories? Is it live, or is it Memorex? I mean, right off the bat, this guy can't get his fucking story straight. The lady gets captured, the guy gets killed off screen. So that's great that your first kill is off screen. And then you cut to some time later, and we're in this small town, and William Baldwin is the boss of this office. There's about 5 co-workers. The boss is ready to head on out, gives these keys to, of course, will be our leading lady, our final girl, and says, hey, you guys take care, blah, blah, blah. And the 5 office workers, they're getting ready to party. It's New Year's Eve. So they get the idea to go to this lodge, which I think is their boss's lodge, and to party there. Before they go, the lead girl's boyfriend arrives. She didn't know he was coming. They have a bit of a rift. Some of the friends had called that guy. And you go to typical, well, I didn't call you because you're away here. Well, you didn't call me, so I thought you forgot about me. Blah, 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 blah. You don't give a fuck. Acting is mediocre at best. So now there's 6 of them, and then when they go up to the lodge, there's a lady there. I think her name was Tiffany. So you have 7 people partying at a lodge, and for the most part, they are douchebags, douche nozzles, who you don't give a fuck what happens to them. Whether it be the one guy say, "Hey, there's a bad weather coming. It's on my weather app." Oh, it's on your weather app. Throws the phone. Stop being a pussy. Or you have the slutty hoes, the slutty whores. You have the college douchebags, or college age douchebags. Like, why am I supposed to give a fuck about any of these people? So while they're all partying, John Morrison, his brother was the guy that died at the beginning of the movie. He's looking for his brother and his brother's wife. So he's kind of like the guy in Friday the 13th Part 4, or hell, in Friday the 13th, the reboot from 2009. Padalecki, I forgot his character's name. A guy backpacking around asking people, have you seen this? Have you seen this person? Have you seen this person? That's pretty much who he's playing. Richard Grieco is the sheriff, who's got this like long hair, and at times I'm sitting there going, dude, just cut your hair, because it seems like at times the hair is like getting in the way of his eyes. Come on, Richard Grieco. His deputy is Christopher Judge. He played the character Teal'c on Stargate, the TV show. And then again, yeah, William Baldwin is the boss. So John Morrison's asking questions, didn't get any answers. Eventually goes off to the woods. He gets caught with a net, escapes. Meanwhile, this couple who's out there, which I guess they're going to the party, but they don't get to the party because they get killed, because one arrow goes through both of them and they both die. Which is not really too gore of a effect, because you don't really get to see anything of that nature. Just, the idea that an arrow went through both of them and some blood coming out of the mouth. This is another aspect that reminds me of the 2009 Friday the 13th film, because the woman at the beginning, she's been kidnapped and she's kind of held hostage, just like the girl in the 2009 film was kidnapped and held hostage. So you have a guy looking for someone, or 2 people in this case, but looking for someone, and that someone is kidnapped. I don't know, maybe it's flimsy parallels, but parallels nonetheless. And a lot of people hate the 2009 Friday the 13th film. I liked it. I thought it was fun. I don't see what's so bad about it. I really don't. I do quite like it. But yeah, the woman that's trapped there sees Bill Moseley, and Bill Moseley, he could play this role in his sleep, and he almost kind of does. Just, he's wearing this wig that seems like the hair he would have in Devil's Rejects, but it's a wig because sooner or later it gets taken off, and he finger paints something with blood in this room where there's body parts and stuff around. There's this one party, I don't even remember where the hell this party was. Sorry, I had to do something real quick, but as I was saying, I'll try to edit this together. So there's this other party going on, and one thing leads to another, and most of these people we don't even know, we don't even recognize, we don't even know who most of these people are. They get killed by our 3 killers. One's this big hulking guy, wannabe Jason. One is Bill Moseley and one's this woman. But when they kill the people, you can't tell what's going on because it's all in strobe lighting effects. Where I'm not going to do it, but epilepsy. Pretty much if you have an epileptic seizure, it's going to be because of this scene. And so I know there's deaths and maybe some blood happening, but I can't tell because it's this strobing light effect and it's giving me a damn migraine. Which is fucking horrible. I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. Let's have the strobe effect. Complete black light, complete black light. Blackness light, blackness light. And I'm like, I can't see. People complain about the scene Predator 2, but you see a hell of a lot more than you do in shit like this. And so they all get killed, but you can barely see anything. And most of these people, you don't know who the fuck they are, so who cares? The deputy Teal'c from Star Trek, the TV show, Star Trek SG-1, he's driving, he stops. You could clearly tell this is a big hulking guy with a mask, even without the flashlight, but apparently this guy doesn't know any better until he puts the flashlight up. Tries to go for his gun, but he gets killed, but you don't really see any gore. I think you see kind of his flashlight drop, but he's dead. So wow, that guy must have gotten a pretty easy paycheck. He's in like 2 or 3 scenes. I'm in this one scene with Richard Grieco, and there may be another scene, and then here where he gets killed, and you don't even need any makeup effects and stuff on him because you don't see it. So, if you're a fan of that actor or Start Date, there you go. That's all you did of that guy. Again, how he can't tell this big hulking guy, there's something suspicious even without putting your flashlight on him. Apparently he has shitty cop instincts. Meanwhile, that backpacker, John Morrison, he arrives at that cabin and he asks them questions. Have you seen my brother? And this is my brother's girlfriend, fiance, however you want to put it. And they pretty much say, no, we haven't. So he leaves. He finds Christopher Teal'c. He finds Teal'c's car and calls for help. Richard Grieco, after he has his awkward conversation with William Baldwin, he arrives, finds John Morrison, has a gun on him for a bit, realizes something more is up. The two of them follow each other to this place where there's a hidden thing to go underground, and that's where they find the House of Horrors and Bill Moseley. And it seems like Richard Grieco knows Bill Moseley, and you get a little hint of this backstory, which we find out a bit later. More details about that. Bill Moseley and Richard Grieco struggle, and Richard Grieco shoots Bill Moseley. I think he's dead, because I don't think you see him for the rest of the movie. So wow, what a waste of Bill Moseley. He's in one scene finger painting. He's in the strobe killing spree, but you can't see anything. And then this one scene here where he's talking to Richard Grieco, and Richard Grieco shoots him like on the side or something. So again, a waste of Bill Moseley. John Morrison has a fight with the big hulking wannabe Jason. And like John Morrison, I mean, he honestly, I could see him in this role. Like, he was probably one of the only things I kind of liked about it. I mean, he's not Roddy Piper in terms of wrestlers turn actors, but he's alright. And he has the right look. And it seems like he could do some moves. Punches, like a flying elbow down on someone or using his knee, but it's shot so poorly. Like, the director thinks he's Zack Snyder, so he wants to do stuff and use slow mo, do stuff, use slow mo here, do stuff, use slow mo, as if he's again Zack fucking Snyder. And the way like the camera setups are, there's not a great flow, and a lot of the moves the wrestler's doing, the camera should have been pulled backward more. You should have kept the camera steady more, so you see more of the move. That would sell the move better, to sell the choreography better. So John Morrison seems like he could do some decent moves, but it's shot fucking poorly because this guy doesn't know how to shoot. Fred Olen Ray's son doesn't know how to shoot fucking action scenes. Almighty Thor, two-headed shark attack. You think he knows how to shoot action? Fuck no. Terrible director, just like his dad. He punches the killer, hits his head with a rock a couple times. Sure kept going or used something to cut his fucking head off, but no, of course, leaves him there. Goes to check on Richard Grieco. Of course, the killer walks away. Back to the lodge where all these other kids are at. And then starts killing them one by one. The female villain cuts someone's throat. There's this guy who's high all the time, who tries to punch the guy, and the Jason wannabe kills him, slams something on the guy's like neck around here. The big douchebag of the group. Kind of a cool thing where the killer has kind of like a spine and a skull and uses like as a whip. And he kind of swings it and it hits this douchebag in the face and fucks up his face. That was kind of cool. But if the shot looked better, it was in a better state of frame, and if that weapon was used more, maybe that could have been utilized better than it was. Early on, one girl who went to bed, the killer was in the room, and I guess, I don't know if cut her in half, killed her somehow. I know he slammed his blade down, and then this big gush of blood went to the floor. But it must not have been too terrible, because someone comes in and thinks she's sleeping and leaves. So, spoilers, all who's left is the lead girl, the boyfriend, and John Morrison. Because Richard Grieco is left to get help. Oh, and then there's these other two ladies tied up. The one who's the girl at the beginning of the movie, and one of the other girls. And lo and behold, big surprise, William Baldwin, Billy Baldwin is one of the bad guys. Of course you know, because A, he's a more familiar name on the poster, so more than likely, if he's only in it for a little bit at the beginning, he's either going to be a bad guy or some bit of importance at the end. And also he seems suspicious and kind of his awkward conversation with Richard Grieco. Talked about his wife and the death of his wife, and the fact that he says that and brings that up, and then you don't see him for a good. I'm like, okay, you know what's coming. Very predictable. So I guess the idea is William Baldwin. I think the other two killers are his kids. I don't know about Bill Moseley, because Bill Moseley, he might be the same age or older than Billy Baldwin. But I think the other two were his kids. And like his wife, something about, I guess, Richard Grieco and some others when they were kids harassed some of the other kids, including these two killers, and led to some building and then the wife was trying to protect them, or his wife, their mother, protecting them, and something fell and she died. It would be nice to show some of this stuff, show these in flashbacks, but no, it's too fucking cheap for that. I'm. What does that really have to do with these other people who had nothing to do with your fucking wife dying? I guess if you're an asshole or whatever, I don't know. I didn't really get it either. I didn't care neither. John Morrison, who had been wounded in the shoulder with an arrow, and then he fixed himself up, he comes in with a gun. Before that, William Baldwin told the lead girl, "You need to finish off all this alcohol or I'll kill one of these two ladies." She can't. That's where you get the kind of minutes to midnight, as we're getting ready for New Year's Day. The one woman gets decapitated. So all that's left is the woman from the beginning of the movie, the John Morrison's brother's girlfriend, wife, whatever. John Morrison comes in. Spoilers, he shoots Billy Baldwin in the neck. The boyfriend of the lead girl is tied up. John Morrison unties him after wounding wannabe Jason. When he unties the guy, the lead girl's boyfriend grabs the female killer's knife. After a bit of a back and forth, stabs her with the knife, and she goes down pretty quickly. And then John Morrison gets into a fight with wannabe Jason. Which, again, I wish it was filmed better by a guy who knew what the fuck he was doing in terms of fight scenes. Because I think that idea of a wrestler going up against slasher villains, I think could actually be kind of fun and cool in a B-movie entertaining way. Because there's a bit where he takes the guy, the killer, and smashes his head against the wall. Even gets him to a fucking armbar on the ground. When the killer's lying down, he jumps up and does his foot stomp on the killer's head. Have a movie that really goes to town on that and done well. Get a known wrestler. And there's the thing, there's been films that have kind of tried to do it. There was one where it was an actor playing a wrestler, and it was kind of fun. I forget what the name of it was, but they could have done a lot more with it. There was Pro Wrestlers versus Zombies, or was it just Wrestlers versus Zombies, with Roddy Piper and Kurt Angle. But it was done pretty cheap. And one of the issues was apparently they filmed it, but the audio got all fucked up. So I think the whole movie had to be dubbed, or something was wrong where the whole audio was fucked. Because I remember at one point reviewing that, and someone working on the film tried to explain to me. I don't even know if that review is still up. Might not be. Because I think Shane Douglas was in it, Kurt Angle was in it, Matt Hardy was in it, Roddy Piper was in it. It was kind of fun to watch for that, but it wasn't a great movie. Although I would rather watch that than this. So if you had a person that knew how to shoot, get someone. I see direct-to-video action films like Drive with Martha Costas, Daily Outbreak with Jeff Speakman, films of PM Entertainment where you have people like Jeff Wincott, direct-to-video films with Gary Daniels, where at least they're competent in how to shoot the fight scenes. I at least have that. Again, this guy either tries to cut too quickly, or it's not wide enough, or just let the wrestler do his thing and let the camera settle. And pick the better angles and ease up on the slow-mo. You're not, again, John Woo or Zack Snyder. You're neither one, dude. And then the ending is barely an ending. Because what happens is, so John Morrison's brother, he finds out the brother's dead. The girlfriend, wife of his brother, tells him that. She finishes off William Baldwin's character. John Morrison, that lady, they go. The lead girl and her boyfriend go. Richard Grieco and the other cops get there. The killer, the wannabe Jason, gets up. And Richard Grieco, I don't know why, he pushes him out of the way, but the killer was not near them to begin with. And, with guns, you can shoot them from far away. So why him or none of the cops just went... No, for some reason, he had to push them out of the way, even though they were, from here to the end of that bed, far away. And the killer hits Richard Grieco here. And you hear a gunshot, so I guess he shot the killer. Killer falls to the ground dead. The cops are going, Sir, are you alright? Sir, we'll get you some help, sir. And then it ends. That's literally how it ends. And I'm like, did they run out of money? Did Richard Grieco's character die? I mean, it's a pretty harsh wound, but did he die? Were they able to get him help? That was such a weird bit of an ending. I don't even get why that was the case. It literally felt like the film just stopped because they didn't have any more fucking money. It wasn't a proper ending. It was very weird how they did it. It just ended. Abrupt. And it just... That shows what kind of a shit movie and production this is. Fred Olen Ray's son, you're the eye of your dad. You have the same talent as your dad. Lack thereof. The acting of the teens, they're obnoxious, they're irritating, they're annoying. You don't care if they live or die. The lead girl and her boyfriend are mediocre acting, lackluster characters with barely a story between the two of them. John Morrison tries. I think he's got that it factor that made him pretty successful in the wrestling business. You see a few bits of it. But I mean, this guy, from what I understand, is pretty... From what I remember seeing of him in wrestling, he was pretty athletic. You could have showed... I just said they showed more of that. They would think it's ridiculous, but... They show a couple of him doing a little bit, but... It's poorly done. The guy who plays Teal'c from Star Trek, the TV show, he's wasted in 2 or so scenes. Bill Moseley is very much wasted. There's some gore, but nothing that's going to make you go, whoa. Not really. I mean, again, there's some blood, but I mean, you've seen dozens of slasher films that are a lot more enticing, memorable set pieces of gore than this. I mean, there is blood in it, don't get me wrong, but there's not a whole lot of creativity in the kills. And yeah, I'm trying to think of all the people that died, and again, there's a couple, the guy at the beginning dies off screen, there's a couple that get shot with an arrow, but you can barely see the fucking arrow, you just see the blood spit out of their mouths. There's the one girl in bed, the killer has the blade come down with this, and then you see just gush of blood go to the ground. The one guy that gets hit like this with a blade. There's the guy that gets smacked in the face with that skull spine whip thing, which looked kind of cool, which they would use that more. And then a wide shot where the killer just doing this, but you don't see any up-close gory shots. One gets slipped by the female villain, but it's kind of like this, as if someone put fucking lipstick on her neck. I think there was a few others that were off screen. I did nothing that really Teal'c. His death is off screen. And I said, really nothing to run home about in terms of gore or kills. And I did the look of the killers I don't mind, but I mean, eh. William Baldwin, you just see where his character's going a mile away. You know, there's something shifty with him. So unless just the curiosity of some of the people on the poster and, oh, the wrestler John Morrison is in it. To me, he was the best part of the movie, and he deserved like a better movie around him. I mean, I'm not saying he's amazing, fantastic, but I could deal with him. Give me a movie where you get an actual wrestler and just go after a bunch of, like, a cult of killers, doing all sorts of, like, DDTs, and when he comes down, the brain fucking explodes on the concrete. Fucking net breakers, and you see the net go arm bars, and he breaks the arm, and you see the arm pop up. You know, he's doing it to these killers, and he does like a fucking drop kick, and the person flies back and gets impaled by this thing in a barn. Like, let me see that movie. Can't I see that movie? Why can't someone make that fucking movie? Can someone explain why we can't see that kind of fucking movie? That's the thing. You did a budget of whatever the fuck budget this was, and why can't we see that kind of movie? Because that might not be grand art. It might be not be the fucking Nightmare on Elm Street or Reanimator, but I goddamn tell you, it'd be more memorable and entertaining than shit like this. Minutes to midnight? Yeah, that's how long it takes for you to forget about the fucking movie. It's a few minutes to midnight now. By the time it's midnight, I'll forget the fucking film, and just like you will forget the fucking film. So fuck the film. So we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.